Okay, welcome back to Mr. Morrow's math class. Good afternoon, evening, or morning, whichever time you're watching this. We are going to continue here today with inequalities. We're talking today about solving more multi-step inequalities, but in particular, inequalities with variables on both sides of the equation. Again, this hopefully is just starting to get boring by now because you know it. But I got to say it on every lesson. In order to solve inequalities, using the same skills used to solve equations, except that whenever you multiply or divide by a negative, you must flip the inequality sign. Again, nothing changes here. The same skills you would use to solve equations, you use those skills for inequalities, but whenever you divide or multiply by a negative, you flip the sign. So number one, I've got x is less than or equal to 3x plus 8. We know, hopefully you know, that you got to get all the x's together on one side. So in this case, I'm going to subtract 3x to both sides. I've got negative 2x less than or equal to 8. Divide both sides by negative 2 to cancel multiplication. I divided by a negative, so I'm going to flip the inequality. X is greater than or equal to negative 4. Up, negative 4, pay attention. Close circle, x is greater than, shaded to the right. Number 2, 6x minus 1 is less than or equal to 3.5x plus 4. All right, I'm going to get the x's together on one side first, so I'm going to go minus 3.5x to both sides. For any of you wondering, can I get rid of the 6? Can I subtract 6 to both sides? Sure you can. Me personally, I like to keep my variables positive. So that's why I do it this way. 6x's minus 3.5x's is 2.5x minus 1 less than or equal to 4. Add 1 to both sides. 2.5x is less than or equal to 5. Cancel multiplication with division, so I divide by 2.5x. So x will be less than or equal to 2. Close circle on the 2, less than or equal to, shaded to the left. Makes sense, right? Right? It's pretty simple, right? There's nothing new here. Let's continue. I got 4x is greater than or equal to 7x plus 6. So let's subtract 7x to both sides. Why, Mr. Morrow? Because I want to get the variables together on one side. Now I have negative 3x is greater than or equal to 6. I'm going to cancel multiplication with division, so I'm going to divide negative 3 to both sides. X, I divided by a negative, so I got to flip the sign. X is less than or equal to negative 2. So, close circle on the negative 2. Shaded to the left. Does that make sense, y'all? Awesome. Number 4, 5y plus 1 is less than or equal to negative 2y minus 6. Well, I'm going to get the variables together on one side, so I'm going to add 2y to both sides, giving me 7y plus 1 is less than or equal to negative 6. I'm going to subtract 1 to both sides. Sorry. So that means 7y, because 1's canceled. It's less than or equal to negative 7. Divide by 7. Flip the sign, right? Wrong. I tricked you and you lost. You do not flip the sign here because you did not divide by a negative. You divided by a positive, so the sign does not flip. Y is less than or equal to negative 1. I got you on that one. Close circle, less than or equal to, so shaded to the left. Does that make sense? Promise? Okay, let's move on. All right, here we go, your favorite. Word problems. The Miami Times charges a fee of $650 plus $80 per week to run an ad. The Miami Press charges $145 per week. For how many weeks will the total cost of Miami Times be less expensive than the cost at Miami Press. So first off, the Miami Times, $650 plus $80 per week, which we'll call X. We'll call week equals X. Okay? When will that, read this, for how many weeks will the total cost of Miami Times, the Miami Times is $650 plus $80 per week, so this is the Miami Times, when will that be less expensive than the cost at the Miami Press, which is $145? Okay? Does that make sense so far? Now, I don't like this example. It's wrong. I should have said, and I apologize, let's make this 945. Because if not, this is a wrong question. It's going to be a no solution. So make the Miami Press, make it 945. Okay? Now, I'm going to subtract 650 to both sides. So I got 80x is less than or equal to, I got a 5, I borrow, that's 9, so that's a 295. So I divide by 80, and x must be less than or equal to 295. We've got 3, that's 240. Put a decimal, drop down that 0. That's going to go in 6 times, which is 480. Drop down that 0. That's 7. That's going to be 8 times, which is 64, and we can round it right there. So basically, x has to be less than or equal to 3 point, let's round it, 7 weeks. So now, that's great that that's the answer. What does that mean, though? Yes, sir. I'm sorry, I added the equal to, but that's not the question I asked. What does that mean? Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. What does this mean, though? That x is less than 3.7 weeks. What does that mean? Come on, guys. Read the question. It's how many weeks what? Exactly. What this means is if you're a business owner, if you're going to have the ad running for less than 3 weeks, you go with the Miami Times. If you're going to have your ad more than 3 weeks, you go with the Miami Press. Are you guys understanding this? You promise? All right. Excellent. Let's go back to a regular equation. 6 times parentheses 1 minus x is less than 3x. What do we have to do here, boys? Distribute. That's exactly, oh, look at that. That's exactly right. Hold on, I'll get it right now in a second. Okay, let's do this again. Yes, you distribute. Excellent. So that's 6 minus 6x is less than or equal to 3x. Add 6x to both sides. 6 is less than or equal to 9x. Divide by 9 to both sides. X is greater than or equal to 2/3. How do we graph that? Well, 2/3 is between 0 and 1. It's about over here. And that is x is greater than or equal to, so closed circle, shaded to the right. Okay? Now, see what happens for example 7. I got x plus 5 is less than x plus 3. Well, I got to combine the variables, correct? Get the variables together on one side. So I'm going to subtract x to both sides, y'all. And I'm going to have 5 is less than 3. Whoa, wait a second. Is that a true statement? No. What happens to false statements, my friends? What is it? No solution. If it's a false statement, it's literally no solution. Just like in equations. False statement is no solution. What would a true statement render? All real numbers or infinitely many solutions. Let's check this out. Here I've got 4y minus 4 is greater than or equal to 4y plus 2. Okay, I'm going to subtract 4y to both sides. And I'm going to have negative 4 is greater than or equal to 2. Is that a true statement? No. So what's the answer here? No solution. Okay? Does that make sense? Promise? Alright. Now, for giggles, just for laughs, what happens here? What if I were to go like this? What if I made this less than or equal to? Now I'll do it in red. Same thing, you're going to have 4y minus 4 is less than or equal to 4y plus 2. Subtract 4y to both sides. Negative 4 is less than or equal to 2. Oh, is that a true statement or a false statement? That's a true statement. So true statements or all real. Well, there's two ways to say it. You can say all real solutions, or you could say infinitely many solutions. You with me, guys? Promise? Okay. Let's do another word. Come again? How is that equal? It's not equal. It's negative 4 is less than or equal to 2. And it is less than 2, so it does work. Thank you very much, son. Good question. The startup cost for a business is $2,500 plus $2 per item that you sell. If you are selling your items for $12, how many items must you sell in order to at least break even? Break even, guys, is when your costs are equal to your expenses. That's what break even means. That means you didn't make money and you did not lose money. So let's set this up. You have two different equations here. You have an expense equation and an income equation. If you're ever going to deal with a business, I would definitely listen to this. Your expenses are your costs. The startup cost for a business is $25,000. So Y equals 2,500, plus $2 per item you sell X. Okay? And then your income. If you are selling your items for $12 each, well, your income would be then Y equals 12X. Does that make sense, guys? You have an expense and you have an income. They want to know, where is your break-even point? When is it going to at least break even? So, when will your expenses, 2,500 plus 2x, right, be greater than or equal to your income, 12x? And I'm sorry, that's wrong. Pay attention. Sorry, let me do that again. When will your expenses be less than or equal to your income? Sorry. You never want your expenses to be more than your income. So now, Mickey Mouse time. Subtract 2x to both sides. 2,500 is less than or equal to 10x. Divide by 10. All right, guess what, guys? In order for your business to at least break even, you need to sell greater than or equal to 250 items. If you sell 250 items, you break even. If you sell more than 250 items, you're making money. If you sell less than 250 items, you lose money. Does that make sense, guys? Because this is really important. Really important. Does that make sense? Promise? Yes? Last one. The startup cost for a bit. Oh, I already did this. Sorry, guys. All right, we're done. Thank you very much. Hope you learned a lot. Let me go back to this one, though. Okay. Hope you learned a lot. And please make sure you pay attention to that break-even point. It's really important. A lot of people want to make money with business. That's how you make money. An expense equation and then an income equation. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.